Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm reviewing a pen from Diplomat. Diplomat is one of my favorite pen brands and it's based out of Germany. And the pen we are looking at today is this one. This is the Diplomat Excellence A2. Now, I've had an A2 for a number of years. I originally had the Evergreen version, which I'll show a picture of here, which I really loved and I've featured in a lot of videos. And then I recently got this version to replace that one just because it matched a few of my ink choices a little better. But I have the steel medium nib on this, as I had on my last one, and anyone who's watched any of those videos knows how much I love this pen. So today I'm going to talk about the parts and features of the Diplomat Excellence A2 fountain pen. Then I'm going to do a size comparison, writing sample, and talk about some pros and cons. Let's get started. Okay. So we have the Diplomat logo on the top there that is in a white plastic sort of little disc set into this chrome finial. The clip is spring loaded and it's very functional and has an interesting little teardrop kind of design there that ties in nicely with the logo, which is an ink flower. The cap swells ever so slightly and then we get a silver or chrome colored band. This is the black with chrome trim version. And that band says Diplomat since 1922, made in Germany. The barrel of the pen continues along for a little bit, then tapers gradually until we get to this chrome colored finial on the end there as well. It is a snap cap, and the Diplomat pens are famous for their snap cap. So it's a very nice, secure snap, and then recapping it is ultra satisfying. It's beautiful. Remove that cap and we get a little gold chrome colored step down there, and then the section tapers to more chrome and then a beautiful number 6 size nib there. Now these are made by Yovo and these are tuned and set by Diplomat and very well, I might add. And then there's a plastic feed. Sorry, just got some ink on my fingers, touched the back of the feed there. You unscrew the body of the pen, or the Diplomat Excellence A2, and you see it is a cartridge converter pen, and a converter is provided, which I love. It's a Schmidt converter, so it's standard international, and it's branded with Diplomat there. The pen is a lacquered metal pen, and I assume it is brass, and it's got a nice weight to it, and it's a nice size in the hand. It's not a big pen by any stretch, but that weight makes it feel nice and substantial in your hand. And that is pretty much the basics of the pen. Standard international cartridge converter, snap cap, steel nib, well on this version a steel nib, but a really truly great writer, as you'll see in just a couple of minutes. Size comparison now, and I have it alongside another favorite Diplomat pen, that is the Aero here. You can see it's a little shorter than the Aero and a little narrower, but still a good size pen, which you can see in comparison to the Lamy Safari, where the dimensions are not dissimilar. So if you're familiar with the size of the Lamy Safari, you'll be familiar with the size of the Aero. Uncapped, it's a little shorter than Safari, but once again about the same size as the Aero there. And posted, it's shorter than both, but not a small pen, just an average size pen. So what are the dimensions of the Diplomat Excellence A2? Well, it is 138 millimeters when it's capped. It's 129 when it is uncapped, so not super long, but I think long enough to be comfortable for most people. And then posted, it's 153 millimeters. So it's a nice length, but there is an issue with the weighting of this pen when it is posted. The pen weighs 47 grams, 29 in the body and 18 in the cap. So you are putting more than a third of the pen's body weight on the back, and a lot of that weight is up here in the clip. So it's not the best balanced pen when it is capped, but it's a big enough pen to write with unposted, very comfortable, nice weight, and a nice grip section. The grip in the middle there is about 11 and just over 11 millimeters, so quite comfortable. And the widest point on the pen around the cap there is about 14 millimeters. So it's a pretty nice size pen. Let's do a writing sample now. We have the Diplomat Excellence A2. This has a steel number 6 Yovo brand. Well, it's made by Yovo nib, and I have this here in a medium. The ink in this today is a diamine ink. One of my favorites. It is from the 150th anniversary set. It is terracotta. It's an ink I did a review of really early in this channel, but an ink I've continued to absolutely love the color and the performance of. Let's do some writing with this pen. Now, Diplomat steel nibs are kind of held in great esteem, and there is a reason for that. They write absolutely beautifully. This pen, like basically under its own body weight here, just writes beautifully. It lays down a fairly standard medium line, not a particularly broad medium, which I enjoy. It's not the driest pen going around, like it's not super wet, but you know, it's not dry. Reverse writing is doable, a little sharp perhaps. They are stiff, like they're not flexy nibs at all. Fast writing, no worries there whatsoever. No hard starts, no skipping, no drying out. I have never had an issue with this pen and how it writes. The Diplomat Aero I have, same thing, just the most stunning nib. The original Excellence A2 I had, I always loved. I've got the Excellence B, the Elox, the Esteem, the Traveller, a couple of Magnums. This brand makes pens and nibs, or uses nibs, that write beautifully. These are writers' pens. These are not flashy pens. These are not, you know, collector's item kind of pens. These are pens for people who really write. And so if you're a writer, as you can see from this writing sample, these are pens to look at. So how much does the Diplomat Excellence A2 cost? Well, in the US, full price is $250, but you can regularly find it around the $200 mark. Australian, $300 to $340. And in Australia, if you want to get it with a gold nib, 14 karat gold nib, it'll cost you around the $580 to $600 range. Even at that US $200 price, this is not an inexpensive pen. It's a steel nib, it's a cartridge converter pen, it is pushing the upper limit of its price point, but something I want to come back to a little bit later is price versus value. I'll come back to that. So what are some pros and cons of the Diplomat Excellence A2? Well, we'll start with the cons. Firstly, I don't like the way the pen feels when it is posted. Writing with this pen posted, the balance is off. It's just too back heavy. I don't enjoy it. I don't do it like this. I rarely write with this pen posted. And I write with this pen a lot. Something else I don't like is I just don't like the finial. The logo there, I like the logo. That's not what I'm talking about. It's just sitting there under a plastic disc. It's kind of nothing. Whereas here I have the Diplomat Esteem. Now this is a really budget-friendly pen from Esteem. It's much lower price point. It's a much more basic, simple pen. And the finial there is under like one of those little bubbles of plastic. And it's just got a nicer look. Why the Excellence A2 here just has this little plastic disc with the logo printed on it, I have no idea. It's just such an odd choice for such a beautiful pen, and a pen that is probably Diplomat's like flagship basic model pen. Like, it's so weird. Anyway, that's what I don't like. Now, let's talk about that price and that question I asked, price versus value. This is not a cheap pen. This is a pen where the sum of the parts don't add up. Cartridge converter, standard international cartridge converter, steel Yovo nib, metal pen, no fancy acrylics, no fancy filling system, no gold nib on this particular model, yet $200 American. But price versus value, and this is something I really take into account. While $200 is a lot for this pen, the pen you get is a stunning writer. It is a incredible everyday writer. It is a pen that I reach to so often. It's one of my most used pens. It's one of my most valued pens. And the fact that I replaced it with another one. So I had the Evergreen, I sold that, and I rebought this black with chrome trim version because the pen itself is a gift to a writer. So if you are a writer who enjoys writing with pens, and I don't mean a professional novelist or anything like that, but someone who writes with pens, who doesn't mind a slightly heavier pen. As I said, uncapped, it's 29 grams, that's not light. This is an interesting pen and a pen you should be looking at. So what do I love apart from all of that? Well, I enjoy the simple classic lines of the pen. You know, it's a tapered body, it's got sort of flat end, flat top. There's nothing fancy or out there about this pen, and I enjoy that. I like that weight. It feels substantial in the hand. I like that capping mechanism. As a simple, it's beautiful. It's so elegant and done so well. I love the build quality of this pen. It feels sturdy, it's well made, even down to that little O-ring just there, which means that as you screw that body down, and yes, those threads are disgustingly noisy, once you screw that body down, it's not going anywhere. It's super secure. On a lot of metal pens, occasionally you find that they can start to come unscrewed. This is never going to do that. I like the fact that there are multiple versions of this pen. As I said, I had the Evergreen. There are so many, and there are more fancy versions with sort of like, you know, different sort of colored striations on the metal and all those kinds of things. It's just, there's a lot of different options, and the prices go hand in hand with all of that. But you know what I love the most about this pen is the nib. It is the most beautiful writing nib. I'll bring up that writing sample again. Like, flawless writer, wet enough, so, you know, generous enough on the page, consistent and reliable. And that's what I like about it. And that's why this pen is one of my favorite pens, one of my most used pens, one of my most recommended pens. It's just a great pen. So the Diplomat Excellence A2 fountain pen, definitely a pen that if you're not familiar with it, you should definitely check out. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all of that kind of stuff. If you'd like to support the channel, I would love to hear from you. It's your support that makes this channel possible. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.